Shall we start?
A very good morning to all. On behalf of the Institute for Sustainable Communities, I extend a warm welcome to all our participants and esteemed speakers at this conference today that brings together key stakeholders from the energy ecosystem in Bangladesh to pave the way forward for implementation of industrial energy efficiency in the country. The Institute for Sustainable Communities is a leading global non-profit organization with 30 years of experience in implementing interventions to combat climate change and hosts this event as part of its work on the Energy Efficiency Alliance project, accelerated by P4G, Partnering for Green Growth and the Global Goals 2030, and in partnership with Energy Efficiency Services Limited India. The event is supported by Engineering Resources International Limited Bangladesh as well as Asia Clean Energy Partners. A veritable set of highly experienced, respectfully knowledgeable, and leading speakers join us today representing the diverse and all encompassing domains of industry, government, finance, the energy sector, technology vendors, international organizations, as well as key institutions implementing energy efficiency within Bangladesh and the region. The conference is well poised to capture and learn from these different perspectives, valuable insights and experiences from a wide range of stakeholders while examining the challenges, potential innovative solutions, and partnerships that are required to accelerate and drive the energy efficiency transformation in Bangladesh. I would now like to request Mr. Akbar Hakim, CEO, Engineering Resources International, to open the event and mark the beginning of this exciting journey with his ever so valuable words. The stage is yours, Mr. Akbar.
Thank you, Meher, for that great intro. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. It's indeed an honor and a privilege to be with you today. As we rejoice in celebrating Bangladesh's 50 years of independence and our graduation from the ranks of a least developed country in the coming years and onto a middle-income country, our thoughts and prayers, first and foremost, are with those that have lost their near and dear ones in the ongoing pandemic. And then, of course, with those that are currently suffering from this deadly menace. As the world struggles to cope with this unannounced crisis, businesses struggle to find new ways of staying afloat while protecting lives and livelihoods. And it has not been easy. As dire as these times are, we shall overcome it. The indomitable human spirit always finds a way. However, there is something else that poses a far greater threat to mankind than all the challenges of the present and past put together. And that is climate change, an existential threat to mankind. We have consumed too much, polluted without impunity, and now nature is fighting back. From the scale of floods in Bangladesh to the unprecedented fires in California, the list is endless. We must act with urgency if we are to leave a habitable planet for the next generation. I would like to welcome you all to today's webinar on paving the way forward for implementation of industrial energy efficiency in Bangladesh. Institute for Sustainable Communities, ISC, as Meher mentioned, a US-based nonprofit organization, has run successful climate change interventions across the globe over the last 30 years. Based on their recent experiences in South and Southeast Asia, with models that have gained a lot of traction, ISC, along with its partnering companies, are willing to share their successes and experiences with industries in Bangladesh. This is exciting indeed, and I would like to thank ISC for this timely webinar. Also, I would be remiss if I did not express my appreciation to ISC for involving ERI, that is Engineering Resources International, in building a successful demand aggregation model for the textile industry in Bangladesh in the latter half of last year, which, if implemented, could be a game changer for the industry. Businesses across the world must learn to strike a balance between the three Ps: planet, people, and profit, in keeping with the 2030 SDG goals. I will close by saying that I'm excited to listen rather, to all our speakers today, and in particular, looking forward to learning from our panelists that bring a world of local and international experience to our deliberations today. Thank you and enjoy the session.
Thank you, Mr. Akbar, for the remarkable opening to this event. I would now like to request Vivek Adya, Country Director India at the Institute for Sustainable Communities, to take this event forward by highlighting the broad contours of its goals and objectives. Over to you, Vivek.
Thank you, Meher, and thank you, Akbar, for such a very important introduction for a webinar and a discussion that is very critical and prime for us. And also, before I start, deepest wishes and many congratulations on the 50th independence for Bangladesh, our friends there. And what we've been seeing is that and we are very encouraged and super excited with the progress the country is making, especially this is a great time. The recovery is happening at a much faster rate. There is immense potential for energy efficiency and reduction in energy demand, even if the economy is growing. So there is this nice moment of history where we might actually be able to decouple growth and energy consumption and impacts on climate. Also, it's such an important country, such an important region across the entire textile and ready-made garment supply chain, the value chain. It's been contributing upwards of 30 billion to the economy and employs more than 4.5 million workers. So we believe this area of work is actually going to help and bring in the most positive impacts. Mr. Akbar pointed out the menace of climate change that we are seeing, and unfortunately, all of us here in South and Southeast Asia are amongst the most vulnerable in this space, and that's what ISC does. We've been working as the Institute for Sustainable Communities across these most vulnerable and most affected countries and populations, and we are trying to help bring in advanced expertise, models, tools, trainings, and resources to help deal with this in the best possible manner. Our alliance, with the program partners, P4G, ESL, uh, has really tested out and experimented different models on demand aggregation, bulk procurement, bringing in innovative financing and helping accelerate energy efficiency adoption on ground, especially with MSMEs and with corporate supply chains. In terms of bringing technology, manufacturers, financing, experts, skilled jobs, everything together. And we do look at our alliance bringing in impacts, reducing annual greenhouse gas emissions by 57 million metric tons. That's about taking 12 million cars off the road. So that's the kind of work that we've started with this engagement, and very happy to be partnering with Engineering Resources Institute, ERI, Asia Clean Energy Partners for the work in the region. And with this, I just reiterate ISC's commitment to the region and to all of us, and trying to bring in the solutions for the region. And maybe if I can request to just reiterating this commitment, if I can request Meher to play a small video message from our president, who also really is excited about all the good work that's been happening in this region and the kind of potential that the country has been able to put together. So thank you very much. Welcome again, everybody, and looking forward to great conversations. Meher, can we play the video?
Yes, Vivek.
Yeah, Vivek. Good morning and good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome you to today's stakeholder conference, Paving the Way Forward for Implementation of Industrial Energy Efficiency. I'll begin today by sharing a few words about the Institute for Sustainable Communities, or ISC. Since 1991, ISC has led more than 130 transformative community and locally driven sustainability projects in 30 countries. We focus our expertise on countries with the largest share of greenhouse gas and pollution emissions and countries and populations that are affected the worst by climate disruption. With our partners, we keep equity at the forefront of climate resilience and green economy solutions, making sure that marginalized populations and communities are centered and no one gets left behind. We're advancing research, best practices, community inclusion and engagement, equitable policy and green economic solutions, and good governance at the intersection of equity, climate change, economics, and health. Today's stakeholder conference is focused on accelerating industrial energy efficiency in South and Southeast Asia. The economies of South Asia, including Bangladesh and Vietnam, are growing exponentially, with total energy consumption expected to grow 4 to 5-fold over the next 2 decades. Energy efficiency is the counterpoint that presents the opportunity to reduce energy demand by 15 to 30%, thereby unlocking cost-effective energy access opportunities for all. Advancing energy efficiency facilitates important commercial benefits and offerings, including market growth and increased competitiveness that meets the growing global demand for green consumer products. Equally important, energy efficiency offers important societal benefits, including the creation of green jobs, safe and improved working conditions for factory workers, and offering the benefits of clean air and water to the communities surrounding industrial areas. To accelerate industrial energy efficiency adoption across South and Southeast Asia, in 2019, ISC launched the Energy Efficiency Alliance for Industry. We call it the E2 Alliance, with tremendous support from P4G. The E2 Alliance addresses the key barriers to energy efficiency adoption by combining demand aggregation, enabling access to finance, fostering manufacturer engagement, and policy alignment. We partner with local governments, energy efficiency manufacturers, and energy service companies to increase energy efficiency, to enhance gender equity, and reduce greenhouse gas factory emissions across the board. The E2 Alliance is working towards a reduction in annual greenhouse gas emissions of 57 million metric tons, the equivalent of taking 12 million cars off the road annually, in addition to reducing air pollution and improving the environmental health of manufacturing communities. In conclusion, of all possible approaches to climate action, energy efficiency offers the greatest promise since it significantly reduces energy consumption while reducing energy costs and providing an attractive financial return. In this sense, energy efficiency is a key strategy to mitigate climate change and to ensure access to sustainable energy for all. With this short introduction, I now hand off to our esteemed speakers, our partners, and representatives of nodal agencies to continue with the proceedings. Thank you. I am pleased to be with you today.
Thank you, Vivek and Ion, for wonderfully setting out our vision for this journey and carving out its concrete objectives. I would now like to request Randy Rahmadi, Asia Regional Manager P4G, to share his valuable remarks and set the context further for today.
Thank you, Mahar. Hope everybody can see my slide. So good morning and to you all. My name is Randy Rahmadi. I'm excited to be here. The Asia Regional Manager at P4G. I'm based in Jakarta, Indonesia. So I lead P4G's activities in the region, particularly in Bangladesh, Indonesia, and Vietnam. And I would like to take this opportunity to briefly discuss about P4G. So first of all, it stands for Partnering for Green Growth and Global Goals 2030. It's a relatively new initiative. We were established around 3 years ago with support from the government of Denmark and the Netherlands. Our mission is really to become the global delivery mechanism for developing countries to achieve their SDGs and climate goals by pushing innovative solutions in marketplace. So essentially, we provide grant funding to multi-stakeholder partnerships who are looking to implement innovative business and finance model to drive sustainability in the countries that we partner with. And we cover 5 SDG areas. So we cover food and agriculture, water, clean energy, sustainable cities, and circular economy. We have a global presence. Currently, we partner with 12 countries and 6 organizations, which have been very valuable in helping us to facilitate implementation of the business model on the ground advanced by our partnerships. So yeah, we see our role in this space as bridging the missing middle between the development works and the investment agenda. So we provide catalytic funding, so to speak, to scale and replicate innovative business and finance model into the marketplace with the hope that larger investors such as development financial institutions, institutional investor or commercial banks can further scale those solutions at the next level. And this is just a summary of our business model and what we're trying to accomplish. We have our funding instruments, and we also have established our global network and how we are sitting in the middle, playing catalytic role, active investing approach to support our partnerships achieve their objective. The hope is that we can move the partnership on a pathway to commercial viability and to eventually deliver actual impact on the ground. So clean energy transition is one of the 5 SDGs areas that we are focusing on. So we see 5 areas where we can help drive clean energy transition and to ultimately drive market transformation. So we're interested to push for innovative solutions in distribution generation, energy efficiency, demand management, grid integration, connecting vehicles, charging station and the grid, and also in energy storage. And we're also interested in how we can drive commercialization of alternative fuels such as green hydrogen, which many of our partner countries are interested to explore. And we have funded a number of partnerships working in these areas, including the Energy Efficiency Alliance, who is hosting this event. Yeah, we have funded more than 50 partnerships so far, and several of them have reached into commercial stage where we see financial closures and other commercial outcomes being delivered. And you can find information relative to these partnerships in our website. And yeah, I think I will stop right here. I look forward to a great discussion in this webinar. I think there's a lot of opportunity for industrial energy efficiency in Bangladesh, a lot of benefits to the country as well, and hope to see a concrete pathway where we can bring unlock investments at scale in Bangladesh for energy efficiency. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Randy, for your remarks and setting a greatly nuanced context for the event. With the industrial sector accounting for 47.8% of the total energy consumption in Bangladesh, the country's total primary energy consumption growth for the year 2030 is estimated to be 3 times greater than that in 2013. Via its intended nationally determined contributions, the government is committed to reduce GHG emissions by 5% from business as usual levels from power, transportation, and industry. To To help achieve this, Bangladesh is targeting policies as well as financing options to help industries improve their energy efficiency, with most implementation focused on replacement of eligible equipment in the industry, which has been a great success with a very robust system in place for its growth and development. With an aim to gain a deeper insight into the current energy efficiency initiatives for the industrial sector in Bangladesh, I would now like to request Mr. Parvez Islam, Assistant Director, Energy Efficiency and Conservation at the Sustainable and Renewable Energy Development Authority, Bangladesh. Sir, please take the stage.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thanks to Institute for Sustainable Communities for arranging this webinar. After starting our journey in 2014, STRATA prepared Energy Efficiency and Conservation Master Plan up to 2030. In this master plan, we have identified 5 key interventions: energy management system and energy efficiency and conservation promotion financing are 2 of those key interventions which are related to energy efficiency promotion in industries. We have prepared energy efficiency and conservation rules in 2016. Under these rules, we have energy audit regulation 2018. Following these regulations, we have conducted our first energy auditor certification exam in 2020. Now we have the first batch of certified energy auditors in Bangladesh. Currently, we are collecting data to declare large energy consumers as designated to be declared as designated consumers. We shall declare designated consumers soon, who will need to conduct energy audit regularly. We have also introduced energy efficiency and conservation promotion financing project, which is being implemented through IDCOL and BIFFL. So far, we have extended soft loan amounting 1,200 crore Bangladeshi taka to 21 industries, through which we are expecting 1,11,000 million megawatt hour, not million, sorry, 1,11,000 megawatt hour energy saving per year. We have also introduced National Energy Efficiency and Conservation Awareness Campaign. Under this campaign, we are arranging seminars, trainings, and other activities to promote energy efficiency and conservation in industries. These are some of the notable activities to promote energy efficiency and conservation in Bangladesh. Thanks to all. These are the update from STRATA.
Thank you, Mr. Parvez, for your enlightening insights that offered critical inlets into the scenario of industrial energy efficiency in Bangladesh. In addition to hearing and learning from leading practitioners within the energy efficiency ecosystem, the conference today also draws on recent landscape analysis and research completed by the Institute for Sustainable Communities as its foundation, through which it analyzed the current status of industrial energy efficiency in Bangladesh and recommended actions to catalyze uptake. I would now like to request Amit Singh, Program Manager, Energy and Environment India at the Institute for Sustainable Communities, to highlight the potential of and the present status of industrial energy efficiency in Bangladesh based on the findings of our recent research. Over to you, Amit.
Thanks a lot, Meher. Just wanted to make sure I'm audible and you can see my screen, right?
Yes, Amit.
Great, thanks a lot, Meher. So I'm going to briefly discuss the outcomes from our landscaping analysis, which we conducted for Bangladesh. And it has got twofold purpose. One is certainly to set the context, but also to kind of validate the findings from this landscaping analysis. So I'm going to share these findings. Now, ISC has been working in this region. I mean, you can see the circle, Southeast Asia region. Why? I mean, the reasons are many. One of the reasons is already mentioned here. The second one is this region is also the highest contributor to the overall manufacturing. And most importantly, the countries which are there in this region, they are developing economies. So if we want to have development along with sustainability, then we need to have interventions related to sustainable manufacturing. And that is what ISC has been doing. ISC has been working in this region to promote sustainable manufacturing. And when we say promoting sustainable manufacturing, what I mean is doing range of activities, but with the key focus on the implementation of EE technologies. That is what is the aim. And as part of the program accelerated by P4G, we have been working in these 5 countries to have large scale adoption of energy efficiency technologies through cross-regional learnings and enabling partnerships. That's like one of the prime purpose of this program. Coming to the country profile, I mean, these numbers are self-explanatory, but what is interesting is this GDP growth for Bangladesh, something at around an average 8% rate. And if, I mean, to ensure this growth in a sustainable manner, country has also kind of taken several initiatives, and my previous speaker have already kind of explained this thing. They are kind of signatory to INDCs. And one of the reasons why we need energy efficiency related intervention is also with some of the numbers which are related to future projection of energy consumptions. We can see, I mean, by 2041, we are anticipating something around increase in energy consumption by 4 or 5 times. And this graph, I mean, that is also one of the concern or one of the indicator why we need energy efficiency is because natural gas is the prime fuel which is being used in Bangladesh. And we can see like by 2030, what is happening is the production is going to decrease. And against this, the demand is going to increase. So if we have to manage within the given resources, certainly we'll have to go for energy efficiency related interventions. And that's what, I mean, SHREDA has recognized this thing in advance. And they have been kind of, they have launched this master plan and where they are kind of trying to save energy. So one thing is very clear from this slide. I mean, there is a clear motivation from the local leadership to save energy, have energy efficiency related intervention. The question is, where is the opportunity? How does it look like in terms of opportunity? So clearly, I mean, Meher has already pointed out the contribution from industrial sector towards overall energy consumption. And textile garment sector is like one of the major industrial sector. And in the table, you can see, I mean, this is basically the total energy saving potential, which has been kind of estimated along different sectors. And in terms of technologies, on the thermal side, these are going to be waste heat recovery, energy efficient boilers. And on electrical side, we have got high efficient motors and all. So again, there is a motivation, there is a potential opportunity also. And we last year we conducted a study along with ERI to basically estimate what is the potential. And this study was conducted, I mean, using a combination of desk research as well as field interventions. And this is what we have kind of identified these 10 technologies to have highest potential. Now, the thing is, if we have got opportunities also, there are barriers and challenges also, and we need to kind of address these barriers. And which are these? I mean, that's what we have kind of highlighted. I mean, the first is like perception of high risk, whether this technology will work or not work. I mean, in normal course, ESCO-based implementation can take care of this thing to some extent. But in case of Bangladesh, the ESCO market is not very active. And what happens is there is limited awareness amongst all the stakeholders, whether it is unit owner, whether it is the technical experts, and limited awareness related to energy efficient technologies also, then monitoring and verification related aspects also. And because of this, what happens is the units are more keen on increasing their production rather than kind of becoming resource efficient. And then, I mean, if they are kind of willing to go for some technologies, certainly energy efficiency technologies have higher cost. Unit may not be in a position to make upfront investment. And if they are planning to have some sort of financing, then coverage of existing financing schemes, I mean, I'll not say it has been kind of limited to smaller SME units. So that's where the challenge is. And then even if they are kind of taking loans and making something, negligible investment incentives for industries for EE implementation. So if I have to kind of compile all these things, I mean, if we can have some sort of innovative financial model which to address these kind of barriers, that's precisely the need. Now the question is, what has been done? There has been, I mean, other agencies have done great amount of work. Some of them, they are kind of present in webinar today. What we are trying to do is basically to address these barriers to have large scale adoption of energy efficiency. And for that, what we see is like this demand aggregation based model. So what happens is this agency, which is, we can say Super ESCO or EESL or Federation of ESCO, they are taking care of the work related to technological performance, demonstration of the technology. And that's how they are taking care of the barrier number 1, which is like perception of high risk. then they are also responsible for basically preparing the standard templates, doing the capacity building, creating awareness campaigns and all. And that's how they are going to take care of that's how we can take care of the barrier number 2. Now, what is happening is interesting. This agency, on one side, they're working with industries to aggregate the demand. Now, demand aggregation is a very simple concept. I mean, if I go to any unit and I say like, I want one item of this thing, what is the cost? Certainly the person is going to quote me something. But if I say I want 1,000 pieces of the same thing, what is going to be the cost? Certainly the cost is going to be lesser because economy of scale will come into the picture. And that's what, I mean, we have been kind of doing this demand aggregation based model, and Poonamji will highlight some of the ground level impacts in her discussion. So they are aggregating the demand from the industry, and then the selection of supplier is being done through a tendering process. So in the whole process, we are able to reduce, or we are able to avail discount of something around 20 to 30%. And that's how we are taking care of this higher cost. And ESCO, ESL, what they can also do is they can make upfront investment. So they don't need to make upfront investment. What will happen is ESL will make this investment, the technology will get implemented at unit's place, and from the monetized energy savings, ESL will get back their payment, and some part of it will be retained by the unit. So in the whole process, what is happening is everyone is getting benefited. And that's what I mean to say, that's how we can create some incentive for industry also, because they're not making any investment, still they are able to save certain amount of money. So that's the kind of model we have been kind of working in India, and we have seen good amount of success. A recent development to this model is because if we are planning to have a national level program, one ESCO, if it is supposed to work with all the industries located across the country, this might be kind of slightly difficult. And the other thing is there are many small players, many ESCOs who have got very good rapport with the local industries. And that's where we came up with this concept of E2 Alliance model, where we can have industry association working as an extended arm of Super ESCO, and then they can take care of some of these activities. For financing, certainly this can be arranged from revolving fund. Only thing is to secure the payment. What we need to do is we need to ensure or inbuild some sort of risk coverage mechanism. And in India, we have also been working with the utility supply companies to implement something called utility-based demand side management program. So in the whole model, what is happening is we have got 3 things. One is the technology related, which is being taken care by ESCO. The other part is related to financing, which is being taken care by financing institution. And the third thing is basically the repayment or payment security mechanism. That's where we are planning to have utility-based DSM program. This can be explored for Bangladesh also, because I mean, the natural gas supply company, they can kind of take the role of utility-based company, and that's how we can kind of explore this model. So this is how we had kind of customized this model for Bangladesh along the same lines. So in short, I would say there is a clear-cut motivation from the country, I mean, leadership. There are opportunities. This is what we have clearly seen. And the major opportunities are in the textile sector with respect to both electrical and thermal technologies. Certainly, there are barriers and challenges, and we need to overcome these barriers and challenges to tap this opportunity. And demand aggregation and ESCO financing based model could be one of the potential ways. With this, I'll stop here. And I'll be happy to kind of take questions during our Q&A session. Thanks. Thanks a lot. Over to you.
Thank you, Amar, for offering some vital perspectives and really defining the nuances with respect to the challenges to and opportunities within the industrial energy efficiency sector in Bangladesh. I would now like to request Mark Lister, Asia Clean Energy Partners, to take the conference forward into its next and exciting segment. Over to you, Mark.
Thank you, Miha, and thank you to all the speakers for really setting the stage, I think, for a great discussion about the issues and challenges and opportunities in taking forward industrial energy efficiency in Bangladesh. Just quickly to let you know, Asia Clean Energy Partners has been supporting some of the work by ISC into understanding the market and figuring out how to move forward with that. And there really are opportunities. The next section of the conference today, for which we have about 50 minutes, and we'll go through. It's really aimed at being a more interactive session or discussion section where we can get down to the details, understanding a bit more about how people are finding the issues on the ground from their involvement. So people who are busy with this in their daily work understanding more about what is going on. And really, we're also looking for your participation and your questions. Always difficult to do in the virtual format, probably easier when we're in a room all together. But as we meet in this format, I would really encourage you to try to put forward your questions and comments and think about a few of the things that people are saying. I have some questions for you to think about, which is that we should really consider which industries have the opportunity here. Which industries need attention? We've heard about the textile industry already. Are there other things that you know from your perspective that you believe there are untapped opportunities? Which technologies should be considered? This is very important as well when coming to these real questions of how to intervene to catalyze action. What are the real barriers that you see and that you experience on the ground to further progress? What about this model that Amit talked about, the demand aggregation model and the model that's deployed by EE&C? We'll hear a bit more about that during the next session and how it could possibly work in Bangladesh. What would need to happen for it to work effectively? And importantly, thinking about P4G's model and their way of working, what are the partnerships that will be needed to catalyze further action? So I'm going to post these questions in the chat for you to think about. And I really would encourage you to go ahead and ask in the Q&A function of the webinar questions on those themes, and also to post your comments if you have them in the chat. I will be moderating the session, helping to bring our experts forward and talk through some issues, and then also fielding what questions we can to those people on the way. So we'll try and answer your questions either live or in the Q&A panel in written answers. So please get involved. Please put your comments and your insights forward. It will really help for a good discussion and to build the partnerships that we're working towards. So first, in terms of our panel discussion, the first speaker that I'd like to introduce you to is a terrific exponent of energy efficiency in industry in Bangladesh, Mr. Mohammed Zahidul Haque. He's the Senior Vice President and Unit Head of Industrial Energy Efficiency Finance at IDCOL, which is fundamentally involved in the really successful program for rolling out finance in industry in Bangladesh. So Mr. Haque, welcome, and please go ahead and give us your perspectives and your presentation and the work that you're doing. Thanks, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mark. Thank you very much. Thanks for giving me the opportunity for this auspicious event that has been arranged today. So I think I'm audible to you, and also I have a very brief presentation. You can see it, right?
Yes, please
I
go
think
ahead.
Everyone can see. Okay, thank you very much. So let's start with the very brief about the IDCOL, what the IDCOL is doing and what is its function, in the role of the energy efficiency in Bangladesh. So So let's start about the IDCOL. It's a fully government-owned financial institutions and started its journey from the 1997 to cater the infrastructure financing in the Bangladesh. Mainly, IDCOL is financing for the long-term and the renewable energy financing in infrastructure development projects, and recently they have started its financing in the energy efficiency segment also. The main funding actually coming from the different multinational, the development financial institutions like the ADB, World Bank, JICA, KfW, GIJT, 8, and the UK. So what we are offering that mainly IDCOL is financing for the long-term financing and the short-term local currency loan, both for the local currency and the foreign currency loan. We have also provide the equity investment, mainly in the infrastructure, mainly the power projects, refineries, container yard, LPG, LNG. These are the major segment of financing. We have a remarkable achievement in the renewable energy also, and we have initiated our another window for the energy efficiency financing. Apart all of these financing activities, we have also our advisory services as well, through which we have given our corporate advisory to both local and the cross-border to promote and to showcasing that how the IDCOL or a government-owned financial institute is working country like Bangladesh. So we had this few glimpse that in the last couple of years, what we have done, that you have seen that the total country's generation, approximately 20% has been generated, funded by the IDCOL. and the 22% of the total container yard has been financed by the ETCOL. We have the 4.6 million set up in the solar horse system, which is the second largest after the India. We have financed 27 solar mini grids and the good number of the solar irrigation pumps and the biogas and the the rooftop solar is our new and the very promising area of investment. The main focus for today's discussion is that energy efficiency, where DITCOL has initiated this financing mechanism last couple of 4 or 5 years. So we have started from financing from the improved cook stove, and another thing is that by financing the environment-friendly, energy-efficient brick clean projects. And for last 4 years, we have financed for the energy efficient equipment financing in different private sector organizations. So far, we have financed approximately 6 billion Bangladeshi taka in different energy efficient equipment financing. Apart from this financing advisory service that we have already mentioned, that the 12 delegate team from the different countries already get introduced with activities we have done, and 1,600 professionals has been trained about under our advisory services. So here is some, the potential sector or the total country's situation, that what are the opportunities that we can finance. If you can see that the large pie that has been covered by the industrial segment, approximately half of the total primary energy supplies, and after that it comes from the residential and the commercial sector. Energy consumed by the industrial sector has a very good opportunity for adopting the energy efficient equipments and the opportunities. Also, there is another thing is that that the Bangladesh is the second largest export in the RMG garments and the textile segment. So we have to follow the certified factory and the compliant factory. So LEED certificate factory is very prominent in here. So approximately more than 200 of companies are now under this LEED certification process. If you can see that the primary energy consumption with the almost, I can only mention about the garments, textile and the chemical fertilizer, you see that the almost a double digit 15%, 20%, 12% energy. I mean, the tons of oil. Sequence the data, you can see that the major segments will have found out that the energy saving potentials, and the report has been published by the Shweta and their master plan. There is another report also clearly shows that the what are the most energy saving potential segments in the steel and iron sector, where the waste heat recovery system, furnace, insulation can be adopted, textile garments and the fertilizer, glass, ceramics in the cement sector by adopting the roller press and the vertical roller mill and the automatic airflow system. There is a highly energy savings potential for specifically a couple of these, that the specific private sector. So here you see that the if you can just pinpoint to the industrial segment, that what are the sectors most energy consuming. The 30% is mainly covering for the ready-made garments, textiles, and the chemical fertilizer. So the past that we have already financed in the under the extremely focused for the energy technological equipment adoption. Other sectors there are the chemical, glass, steel, relolling, paper, and the pulp, ceramics. These sectors has huge potentials, but there are some challenges to financing in these segments because these are different specification of the equipment which may not fit for the all other sectors covering. So maybe the upcoming MFIs who are thinking about financing in these segments, they can also think about this. You see that as per the report of 2014 ADBs, that they only for specifically textile, cement, and the ceramic and the chemical, if we cover up this, approximately $140 million requirement was for the adoption of the equipment. However, in the year 2021, it has been multiplied couple of few-folded. So right at this moment, it is not the 200 million is not enough, rather than it's a kind of a $1 billion requirement for tapping this in segment. So what are the equipments that we're usually financing? That the major equipment we have already financed, that the waste heat recovery systems and the pumps, both inverter driven and the sensor based, that the boiler optimizations and the compressor, lighting, HVAC system, street lighting. These are the options we have already financed, and we have a very good credit line and the specification that we can finance under these different credit lines. So let's see that the how the ITCOL is financing and energy efficiency. So we have a dedicated unit which is called the Industrial and Energy Efficiency Finance Unit, and unfortunately I am heading this unit. So under this unit we have already financed 200 crore of BDT in the brick manufacturing sector, and in energy efficiency too, we have already disbursed 400 crore BDT, and we have also pipeline approximately around 300, and the another approximately 1.3 billion 3 billion BDT crore BDT projects are in our pipeline. So here is the major that our source of financing, that is actually the initiative has been done by the ITCOL own energy efficiency window, where we can finance up to 60% of the total project cost, and it will be a long-term financing. So the JICA came up with a couple of few years ago with their credit line, and that was the first in the country, and they have offered a very concession interest rate, which is approximately 4 to 6%, literally, which is half of the current prevailing market interest rate. Under this scheme, we can finance up to 100% of the equipment financing. Another initiative is that the ITCOL is the only national implementing entity in the Bangladesh part to manage the GCF and the Green Climate Fund. So we have already got approval for $250 million from the GCF to financing in the governments and the textile segment. And we are now at the stage of signing the accrediting master agreement with the GCF, and after that we are expecting that by end of this year 2020-21 the fund will be ready to on-lend to the different private sector. So moving forward, that the JICA came up with their additional second phase. The first phase has successfully completed, the second phase of approximately $200 million, and we are already disbursing our fund from the JICA credit line to the different private sectors. We have also available fund from the AFG, approximately 100 million euro, which is lending on the equivalent BDT. And these are the two onboard financing credit line that we are already using. Apart from that, KfW and ADB both are coming with the $50 million each, and the discussion is fully going on. So what we feel that the moving forward, what are the what we may suggest, or we may feel that the not only this kind of the MFI's credit line is sufficient, rather than government can come up with their dedicated credit lines to support this e-project financing, so that where private sector can have a very wider opening, the financing access. And the risk sharing facilities, that as ITCOL or the other India finds of financing to the private sector companies, so there is a credit risk is an important part. So we prefer that, or we're suggesting that it could be a think about that there were any kind of the credit guarantee programs initiated by the government or the international DFIs, so that we can reduce the risk part of the financing to the individual private sector companies. Also that if the government is coming up with a very good supportive tone for the ESCOs, so that the private sector energy projects can also be under the financing of the DFI's soft loan. So on the very lastly, let's mention few of the challenges, what we faced, and what we think that they should be addressed to keep the momentum of energy efficiency financing in Bangladesh. Though there is a huge amount of the energy efficiency equipment financing, however, the fund source is not that much very robust. I mean, the limited internal fund is very scarce, and we are also inviting the other foreign development partners to invest or to allow more credit lines to come up here. And the information and the awareness and communication that how much energy has been saved and how much CO2 has been emitted will be able to done, and what are the impact we have done by adopting this e-financing. This data and the calculations needs to be accumulated and needs to be circulated, and it should be public. And if we can convince our private sector or the major energy consumers that this will be the advantage, and that will be not only the individual benefit, rather than it will be a country's benefit, as we are one of the 6 protocol, and we have also our NDCs. So we have to convince the private sector, and we need to create more awareness that this low-cost financing is available for them, so that you can adopt this energy efficiency equipment financing. And also that the risk perspective that you mentioned, that when we're financing the private sector, there is a good amount of the credit that we have to bear us. And the capacity is a thing that there are very few organizations in the Bangladesh who are very well understanding about the CE equipment, the energy efficiency auditing, and and ultimately the year-end energy savings. So we also believe that the capacity development should be one of the major goals in the upcoming years. So here is the pathway. That's the last slide from my end. So you can see that as you have a government has already, that the master plan we have already initiated that by 2021 we have to achieve 15% energy conservation, and it will be 20% we have to achieve by 2030. And you see that by 2025 we have to achieve the global best energy intensity, which is a very ambitious, but we think we have to work very closely with the government bodies and the Minister of Power, SHREDAS, and the other DFI so that we can achieve our government set targets. So that's all from my end. Thank you very much for listening, and I would really appreciate if anyone have any questions or something, so that I'll be really happy to answer this. Thank you very much. Back to you, Mark.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hake. Very informative presentation, and really congratulations on the amount of work that IDCOL is doing to support energy efficiency in Bangladesh, and the financial mechanism that you've built. I think, having looked at energy efficiency in many countries, I think is really an example of a success story of how to actually roll out a sort of very comprehensive program. A question for the audience is really how can Bangladesh capitalize on the great foundation that you've built and extend it even further. We don't really have time to do live questions and answers today because we have others to present, but I will encourage everybody to continue posting your questions in the Q&A panel, and if you do see those, Mr. Hake, you can answer those directly. We'll also try and come back to them at the end of everyone's presentation. So thank you very much. Let's also hear now from some people working in industry and industry leaders themselves on their perspective on all of this, and whether the potential and the opportunities that are there are easy to realize, or whether there's things that are being missed. I'm going to call upon Mr. Abdul Alim. He's the CEO of Wellmake Engineering and Technology. Mr. Alim is very experienced in this field and has done a lot of work auditing and implementing projects with various industries. And please give us your perspective, Mr. Alim, 5 or 10 minutes on what you see as being the issues in this interesting discussion that we're having. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. Am I audible and my screen is visible, sir?
Yes, it is. Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, I thank you, ISC and Asia Clean Energy Partner, for giving us the opportunity to participate in such a potential program, actually from field level people who are working for the people who want to be energy efficient by implementing. We are working with them for providing them support, engineering support, up to from design planning to the implementation. We have been working since 2001, and I want to share some of my experience in the activity of energy efficiency in Bangladesh. Okay. From our experience, we have found that the energy efficiency, especially in Bangladesh, is very potential because from the very beginning, most of our factories, when designing and implementing, the energy efficiency issues are not being considered from the planning, designing, erection, machinery and equipment selection, installation, operation, and maintenance from that respect. So while we are conducting an energy assessment in a very new factory, even we found very remarkable potentiality, even up to 40% of the saving scope. So I think the activities from the ISC is a very, for the time being, that is still a very good scope for us to save a lot of energy in the respect of time, and also reduce the greenhouse gas emission due to this shortcomings in our industry. And from our experience, I am sharing some causes of inefficiencies. It may be differ from others, but actually we are sharing our side experience. That is, we have found that absence of energy efficiency consideration in design side, and engineering is one issues when you designing, you planning, and doing the resource management in our country due to scarcity and uncertainty of resource. Such in our countries, we have found that the same factory has to be installed so many power sources, diesel generator, gas generator, grid supply, everything should be arranged, because no one can guarantee that which one will be sustained long run. So for continuing the production, our investor has to invest huge amount of money for energy resources. because the defendability. So lots of sources are using in the same. If we can manage them according to the demand of the factory, there is a huge scope. We have seen and we have already implemented few of interested owners. Lack of idea about energy efficiency, because the whole of the factories only we have found the textile and RMG sector where a lot of activities are arranged by the buyers and donors agency. So message is a little bit very much clear to them, but other industrial side have no such message to go that in that way. And practicing of energy efficiency, it is not a just written type that we are becoming energy efficient and we have already taken plan, but it is also a matter of practice. If we install a very high energy efficient product and if we do not maintain it properly, then ultimately the investment has no result. And lack of sufficient technical know-how, that is lots of technology when people are promoting, basically the equipment production company, they are promoting their product, but it is very much mandatory to select an efficient and suitable product for a specific application to get the benefit. Otherwise this high investment also no use. Inefficient machinery equipment is still very much popular in our country, because we are always considering the initial investment is very much in consideration while procuring many things, and as a energy efficient machinery is a little bit costlier. And also it is very important for installation and operation. Installation, if you do not perfectly install the product, you do not get the benefit what is described and declared. And inefficient operation, because most of the unskilled and non-trained operator in our country, there is no such initiative or any institute that give them training, especially for the specific machinery operation, how a boiler is efficiently operated, how a quality standard machine need to be operated, everything. So what happened? Inefficient operation and improper maintenance will destroy the machinery efficiency, and unskilled and non-trained operator also. And barrier of for energy efficiency in implementation, that is the implementation side. When we have found some factories, the owners are very much interested to implement energy efficient technology, but we have found that the limitation of those items, that is high initial investment for self-financing, high interest rate of loan, very complicated and time consuming procedure to get the loan, very hard to achieve, especially for SME due to tough terms and conditions. We have found that some big companies who have already eligible to implement, but they can get the money. But for the small company who need very small amount of investment, and this is very tough for them to get, because a lot of critical terms and conditions are assigned to get the fund. And I have seen last 12 years in working in some project that people are interested to implement, but unfortunately it is very tough to get arrange money for them. So it should be in consideration while going to implement energy efficiency in large scale in Bangladesh. And we have also found some substandard energy efficiency achievement. And I want to highlight this thing from engineering aspect of view. We have found some instrument already installed in the energy efficiency participate. That is, improper assessment for accurate energy efficiency is one issue, because when selecting an energy efficiency technology for a specific industry, it is not common that same technology is applicable for every facility. Here some engineering must be needed, actually can be saved and what actually we can achieve. Accordingly, if the proper technology and the solution is not selected, the ultimate result also that is happening. And non-engineered design for installation, especially for thermal installation like chiller, exhaust gas boiler, waste heat recovery, this is very much critical in design and installation. So without ensuring the proper design, engineered design and installation, you will not be able to get the benefit. And improper commissioning, inefficient operation, and improper maintenance also very much related with the achievement of the energy efficiency. So what happened if the achievement is not up to the standard, then the payback will be much more higher than the targeted one. We have already experienced such a lot of projects where the targeted energy efficiency 2 years, but unfortunately up to 6 years it is not covered, because the selection of the technology and the amount of energy calculated to be saved is not the proper, due to the improper assessment for the specific factory. And potential sector for last few years we have working, we found that It is very much applicable. Textile, dyeing, washing, RNG, steel and reloading sector is also very much potential. Brick and cement processing. This is also energy thirsty industry. Cold storage and frozen food, also same. Food and beverage, oil refinery and cement. And I want to share some of potential options that is widely found for thermal energy system. I want to share one thing more, that thermal energy recovery and thermal energy efficiency is very much effective in context of Bangladesh, and I will share what that is the causes to try. We have found old boiler replacement. Many boiler of our country people are using last 15 or 20 years. They are very much inefficient. We can replace it by energy efficient boiler, and waste heat recovery for boiler. And from our gas distribution company like Titas and other companies, government authorities, they have a circular to make your boiler and to recover the available waste heat from the boiler. In that context, economizer, air preheater, auto blow down, this system should be added with the existing workable boiler. Waste heat recovery for gas engine, because captive power was very much popular in our country, and once upon a time government was very much insisted to big investor, especially dyeing, textile and spinning mill, to arrange their own power. At that time, captive power generation by gas engine was very much popular. Nowadays, the charges of gas is getting higher and higher to make it non-interested for that one. But in that case, there is a guideline from the Titash to make the gas engine generator efficiency up to 65 or 75%. In that case, it needs to be recovered the available waste heat. In that case, exhaust gas boiler, absorption sealer, hot water system need to be installed for utilizing that one. Waste heat recovery from process. Many process technology machinery is also dissipate huge amount of waste heat, and it can be recovered for reuse. Condensate recovery and return system of the whole steam system in the any facility. Steam system improvement is one of thing. I like to share that in Bangladesh now, people are, our owner is so much developed and well known that they are using world-class brand equipment, especially boiler, generator, compressor. But unfortunately, due to the giving less importance in distribution system, huge amount of energy is lost in the distribution. Though the boiler is an high standard, but his distribution length has a lot of leakage, non-engineered designing, and a lot of insulation failure. Already energy is wasted there. And energy efficient insulation that I already added in earlier one. These are all the potential and highly effective options for thermal energy system. And for the electrical, I want to share this is that some very much proven technology based item who have already experienced lots of successful project. LED lamp, definitely of high efficacy and long life, because quality of the lamp and the things, all LED are not energy efficient, so it must be careful to selecting product for getting real benefit. Then energy efficient ceiling fan, because in our RNG sector, lots of ceiling fan are using, especially in swing floor, and it is running for 8 to 12 hours per day. So it is a very scope to say this one. Exhaust fan with direct drive. Also the same thing, exhaust fan is widely used in our industrial side. And energy efficient front door, especially IE3 and IE4 category, now IE5 are also in the market. Swing machine with servo motor and let's develop a direct drive. Electrical chiller, of course, with higher COP, because many facility needs electrical chiller. So it must be considered the COP of the chiller should be higher. Variable frequency driver, VFD for motor and pumps, definitely having variable load operation. We have seen very improper and incorrect application of VFD. And last, if someone making a question and answer, we will share with them, because if they have no variable there load of operation, there is no benefit of the application, rather in creating other problem. And electrical resource management, that I have already earlier mentioned, that we have several resources: diesel generator, REP, PDB, grid power, and captive power. It should be well managed with the demand of the things. And lastly, I want to share that in respect of potentiality and quick payback, considering Bangladesh aspect, since our shortage of natural gas is increasing, insufficient gas pressure, increasing price of natural gas, and quick payback, if we consider, an efficiency improvement of thermal energy is very potential, because our process industry like dyeing, textile washing plant is running 24/7 days, and huge amount of steam for the drying section, for hot water generation and drying is necessary, and which is directly related with the consumption of the natural gas. So if we go for implementing any energy efficiency options for thermal energy, it will give greater benefit in the directly consumption of the natural gas. And one thing more, that for electricity, if we fell electricity from the grid, we can use diesel for instantly diesel generator. For in the industry, there is actually no option for steam. We are presently till today we are using for dryer and steam. Today is a boiler, steam boiler. So it is directly, most of the steam boiler is running by natural gas. Recently it is drying by, yeah.
We need to finish and move on.
Okay, this is the last one. This is my last one, and waste heat recovery is one of the high potential in industrial efficiency, and that's my the total. So I think I am in over, and thanks for everyone for listening.
Okay, thank you very much, and a wealth of information there. I'm sorry to cut you off. We have a few more people to give their perspectives.
Thank you.
But thank you very much. A huge amount of information and really valuable information about both the fact that it's not easy to do this on the ground in implementation, but also the wide range of opportunities that are at the technology level. So very helpful. There has been some questions as well about whether we'll be able to make these presentations available. I think they'll be a great resource for attendees, and we'll do our best to send those to you really soon after the event. So following on from that, we also want to hear from a couple of practitioners in industry. We're very lucky to have with us Mr. M.A. Jabbar, who's the MD of DBL Group in Bangladesh. So, you know, how is it that industries themselves are feeling about increasing energy efficiency? What are they doing? So maybe Mr. Jabbar, give us just a few minutes on your group. Tell us what you're doing and how you see the opportunities for energy efficiency and how you might play a part in that. Please go ahead, Mr. Jabbar.
And also Amit Singh, and all the presentation was really great. I think it's a high time for our industry for energy work with the energy efficiency. In fact, us as well, like, you know, to be competitive, and also the follow some of our buyer has also the target for our certain factories. So the factory we work with, but in coming days, we really have to work on the efficiency, energy efficiency. So DBL is really working on this area. By the way, I like to give a little bit idea about DBL. DBL is a diversified conglomerate with core business, garments and textile. Besides that, we are also investing in ceramic tiles and pharmaceuticals, which consumes a lot of energy, especially by the side of textile. Ceramic industry consume a lot. I learned from these two days of vineyard that like 25% of total industrial energy used by the ceramic. So we think that we also need to work on this. At this moment, we are already working a lot on this ceramics side to be competitive and how we can capture and reuse the energies, especially the spray dryer and clean and everything. We don't want to lose any bit of it. DBL is using DBL has 90 megawatt installed capacity with natural gas. We have about 56% efficiency. And in coming days, we're gonna have more investment in industry, like DBL already setting up a economic zone in Sylhet, Sylhet Economic Zone, DBL Industrial Park. So we are really concerned about it. So we have every month energy efficiency meeting. Each complex, each unit has a energy manager, so that it is like it's a special so young engineers are taking this at 6 months basis. So we are really concerned about it. And I must say that I really like to have all the presentations and then contact with the participant, especially the ISC, Asia Clean Energy, and Abdul Alim. So I think this webinar is a really as a good for us, good for me to learn this area. It will it will have a very big deal of effect in our coming days. Well, I thank you to invite me in this webinar, and I'm looking forward to work with all the parties, including in EE&C. We are already working with the EE&C. We've been financed by EE&C. But I just think that one thing that this energy efficiency, we really have to this is the awareness within the industry, not in the only the garments and textile who export, because the industry is pressurized by the also with the buyers and this, but we have a lot of other private sector who is supplying goods to the local market. So we need to really bring them in and awareness programs so they can really be part of it. I think that it will be making a big difference. And the financial issue, there is still, I can say, there is a lot of bureaucracy in there. It's not accessible. I see whatever this we have invested in these energy efficiency sector, mostly from our own few. This initiative we have done through the EE&C only, and there are a lot of funds there, but they are not really accessible easily. So I would appreciate, the policymaker work on it, and the awareness grows day by day. So that will be really the coming days. It will be helpful for the industry and our industrialization. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Mr. Jabbar. A very, very helpful and useful perspective for the audience here. Congratulations, by the way, on having monthly energy efficiency meetings. I think that's amazing. You talk about the need for awareness raising. Clearly, the awareness is high within your company, and in ceramics, it's an area that's also identified with more potential. So I'm sure many people would be happy to work with you. Also interesting that you point out the need for awareness within industry, and the question coming back to P4G's model of partnership is which partners would you need working together to try and create that awareness? I think that's an interesting question and something on which you would have a lot to contribute to some areas of program design for P4G and for ISC. So thank you very much for your participation today. We also have with us, we're lucky to have another industry representative with us as well, Mr. Shams Mahmood. He's from Shasha Denim. He's the MD there. And please, Mr. Mahmood, give us your perspective on this question of energy efficiency in industry. Tell us a little bit about your company and maybe where you see the way forward from your side. Thank you. Go ahead.
Great. Thank you, Mark. First of all, thank you for arranging this sort of webinar, because I think this is very important. Like this is sort of a way to raise awareness about this issue. So I'm the managing director of Shasha Denims Limited. We are the pioneer denim textile unit in Bangladesh. Our business is RMG, textiles, the power sector, and IT. But at the moment, the core business is textiles, and we are concentrating on that. So the way I see this is that down the line, with our main export market being the European Union, we see a lot of activities happening. Like the major buyers, they have set some goals. The concept of circular economy, these things are coming up. It's catching up with the trends now. Sustainability is a huge thing now. And when you have a lot of units fighting over the same piece of the pie, you have to differentiate yourselves. So the onus is actually on us, the owners of these manufacturing units. How do we set ourselves aside from the rest? And that's where you see like different companies taking up initiatives, bringing in new technology to the market. Like we invested like about $75 million on upgrading our machinery and bringing in new machinery, more energy efficient machinery. We are recovering chemicals, we are reusing them. uh, these machines have cut down my energy consumption by 40% almost. And even the steel that was used to make the machinery itself is certified green by the Italian Textile Association. These are all Italian machineries. So we are making investments to make ourselves more green. But there are issues here. Now, the thing is that, first of all, I wanted to, install rooftop solar above my factory, the building. But since my unit was built in 2000, the shed was built in 2000, it needed a lot of retrofitting. And that's where the problem started, because I had to put in additional pillars, which would obstruct the workflow. I had to relocate some machinery. So that wasn't a viable option for me. So that's why I had to go for investment in the machinery, which in a way is paying off for me. So I'm still happy about that. And the scope of work, especially in energy efficiency in Bangladesh, I think the scope is huge still. There is, as some discussions has pointed out, there's a lack of communication. Like there's a lack of awareness. A lot of people actually don't know like where the funds are. They don't know where to go if they want to upgrade themselves. And Mr. Alim, in his presentation, he had a very wonderful presentation. He covered a lot of aspects, and he's actually right. Like SMEs has not been integrated into this wider roadmap, and we would like to see that happen. And like small things can make a big difference. Like RMG industry, the garments industry, usually the work time for these factories are from 9 in the morning till like 5 or 6 in the evening. So the operations are taking place during daylight hours. So we can introduce sun ducts, and then you can have like solar panels powering, because it's not that energy intensive industry. And you can have like IoT sensors near the needle point. It can identify the lumens, the natural sunlight coming in. It can dim the LED lights to match like 600 lumens, which is the industry standard. So a lot of things can still take place. And another thing I want to point out is that people who are investing in green energy, um, the governments already have a plan for them. Like in the corporate tax, they've reduced for green factories in the RMG sector. The corporate tax is 10%, whereas the normal taxation rate is 12%. But at the same time, I would request like SREDA and ITCOL is playing a big part, and SREDA especially is doing a wonderful job. But if in the policy level, they can implement this with energy audit, if I can quantify how much I'm saving in energy every year, if I can show that from last year, I've saved like 1%, I've cut down my energy consumption by 1% or 2%, then if my corporate tax can be reduced by 1%, then this will actually accelerate industry adaptation of the new technologies which are there. And most importantly, I think that this is the right time to popularize this idea, like everyone should be getting into newer technology, cleaner technology to reduce the carbon footprint. Because like I mentioned before, our main export market is the European Union. And now in a few years, we will see that the European Union will be introducing carbon tax. So that will be a major issue. And we hope the government will negotiate with the European Union that factories who have implemented in cleaner technologies and green technologies should be getting some sort of exemption from this carbon tax. And this itself will be a great enabler for all the industry participants, the stakeholders, to adopt green technology and going for more energy efficiency. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Really interesting. So many things that you said there. Too many issues that you've raised to cover very quickly. But I thought I particularly picked up on some of the themes that you mentioned there: the lack of communication, the lack of network among industry. There's a real opportunity there to enfranchise more people and get them understanding more about the opportunities here and how they could benefit, including the integration of SMEs into that as well. I think very important. So this idea about coordination between actors is really significant, and integration of different initiatives. SREDA playing a leading role in a way to make sure that that industry can actually take advantage of the opportunities. So thank you very much, really interesting. We're almost at the end of our session today, but let's see if before we ask any remaining questions, please do ask any questions or make comments that you've heard along the way. We've been trying to keep up with the questions coming in. But let's hear from Ms. Poonam Pandey, who's from EESL, Energy Efficiency Services Limited from India. We've heard a bit about the aggregation model for demand in the textile industry. It was mentioned by Amit. It was mentioned by also ERI in the opening about demand aggregation. So let's learn a little bit more about the model that's been deployed in India and how it might be relevant to thinking for advancing energy efficiency in industry in Bangladesh. So Ms. Pandey, please go ahead, give us some remarks about your work in this area. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark. A very warm good morning to everyone. I'll just try to share my presentation, so kindly bear with me. So I hope the presentation is visible to everyone now.
Yes, it is. Perfect. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. So a very warm good morning once again, and I would also like to take this opportunity to congratulate the people of Bangladesh for their upcoming Golden Jubilee celebrations. In fact, we have sent our Prime Minister there to join in for the celebrations. And this goes a long way to talk about the deep cultural heritage that we share, that our Prime Minister has this is the first country that he's visiting after a 15-month long break due to the lockdown. So indeed, we do share a very strong heritage. And if we talk about energy, then India and Bangladesh are very similar on the energy development as well as the energy efficiency curve. So I think we have a lot to learn from each other. So in today's presentation, I'll try to share some of the perspectives that we have learned from our experience in this sector in India. So talking about EESL, we are world's largest super ESCO, and we are in fact a joint venture of 4 public sector units in India, which is NTPC, REC, PFC, and Power Grid. So we have recently celebrated 11 years of existence in India. Our vision is to provide universal access to sustainable energy solutions to enable a low carbon future. So enable is the key word over here. We act as a catalyst for implementation of energy efficient technologies in the country. So some of the key pillars that our value proposition stands on, of course, there are various innovative models, but the 2 main pillars that we stand on are demand aggregation and pay as you save. So demand aggregation, as already introduced by Amit, is basically common technologies across various industries, and then we aggregate that demand and put out huge tenders, which really helps drive down the prices to the extent of 30%. So a case I would cite over here is that of the LED bulbs. So as you all know about the Ujala scheme in India, when this was launched in 2015, the price of LED bulb was $8, but due to this power of demand aggregation, we were able to bring it down to $1 in a span of around 3 to 4 years. So that's what demand aggregation can do for you, and that's what we have capitalized on. Then coming to pay as you save, Amit has already touched upon this. What we do is we take care of the initial investment, because this has been identified as one of the major hurdles for adoption of energy efficient technologies, which has also been borne out by the industry leaders from Bangladesh who have spoken prior to me. So we take care of that initial investment, and we are paid back through the savings that the user is making in their energy bills. So essentially what they have to do is they have to just sit back and allow us to come and make those changes, make those retrofits, and then over a period of time they first share the savings with us, and later on they enjoy the savings all to themselves. So it's totally win-win situation for the users. So that's a proposition which has really helped us grow in India and help the cause of energy efficiency in India. So some numbers, we have already done distribution of 367 million LED bulbs and tube lights in India. We have also carried out LED street lighting retrofits, 11 million, which is having web-based control and monitoring systems. We have also distributed 7 million solar study lamps in rural parts of India. So talking about some of our programs, EVs, I'll just share the numbers. EVs, we have done 2,000 rollout of 2,000 EVs in India. Solar substation 2,000 megawatt. Smart metering, we have completed tendering of 15 million smart meters and installation of 1.5 million of them. Then municipal energy efficiency program, wherein we retrofit the pumps of the municipal bodies with more energy efficient pumps. Building retrofit, we have already carried out in 10,000 buildings in India. Trigeneration is a technology that we have acquired from Edina in UK. Under this, basically, we utilize the waste heat for heating as well as cooling purposes. So what it does is it really brings up the energy efficiency of the gas engine from a conventional 40 to 50% to around 85 to 90%. Then street lights, I have already talked about. Agricultural DSM is wherein we are replacing the agricultural pumps across India. In some cases, we are also utilizing solar panels on these pumps for overall better sustainable solutions. National motor replacement program, we have already completed around 3,000 motor replacement in India. We have replaced old inefficient motors with IE3 efficient motors in India across various industries. Ujala, I have already talked about. Consultancy is a relatively new vertical under which we are providing consultancy to private sector as well as government. So like we are consulting the Saudi government for implementation of their street lighting retrofit program. I would also like to talk about Convergence, which is a newly established wholly owned subsidiary of ESL. So the concept of Convergence is that rather than offering these different solutions that I just talked about, we converge them and bring them as a packaged solution to our end customers, including some other value propositions such as carbon credits. So an example is in the previous slides, I was talking about LED lamps, wherein the price was brought down from $8 to $1. What Convergence does, it further brings down the price because of bundling together various solutions. So in fact, yesterday only we have launched Gram Ujala, which is basically Ujala or domestic efficient lighting program for the rural India. And under this program, we are launching, we are providing LED bulbs at 10 rupees. So can you imagine, it is equivalent of US dollar 14 cents. So at 14 cents, from $1 to 14 cents, that's 1/7 of its original price. That's a kind of value proposition that Convergence can bring to you. So these programs I have already spoken about. Overall, they are resulting in a saving of 41 billion units annually. This is our growth story. We have grown almost 40 times in last 6 to 7 years. and we have mitigated over 32 million tons of GHG emissions annually. So these are our footprints. We are present in 4 continents. We have recently established a joint venture in UAE, which is taking care of our initiatives in Middle East as well as Africa. We already have a joint venture in Thailand. In UK, we have a 100% owned subsidiary, which is Edina. So this is, and in Far East also now we are working along with ISC as well as P4G to expand our footprints further. In Bangladesh, in fact, we have already done some work in the past along with Sreda. We have installed 500 streetlights in Tungipara district, and we have distributed around 50,000 LEDs in Tungipara. So this is the end of my slide, and I hope it was useful, and I'm open to further questions. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you so much, Ms. Pandey. And we've heard a lot about EESL. We now have another thing to remember, which is CESL, for future engagement with you. Thanks for the overview and for giving everyone an understanding of the work that you do and how it may be relevant in Bangladesh. We are right on time in the allotted time that we have, so we don't have any time for going back to the panel with your questions. We have tried to answer the questions along the way in the chat or in the Q&A for the webinar. We don't want to leave, however, without getting some more input from you as the audience on your feeling and your reaction to all of this. So there's some poll questions that have been prepared by our hosts at ISC, and we'll just give you bear with us to give you 30 seconds to answer each of these polls. I'll ask the ISC hosts to put the first question up now on barriers to energy efficiency, because we'd like to gauge your feeling about this. It's not the end of the discussion. In fact, it's the beginning of the discussion about taking all of this material that we've been talking about forward through building better partnerships. So I'll ask the ISC team to put up the first poll question and give you 30 seconds to answer that. So please stand by. So you can please go ahead and select which it is that you think out of these options and submit your answer. Okay. Hopefully you've submitted your answer to the first polling question. There's 2 more coming. The next one will be about feedback on this session itself. And the third and last question will be about your future interests in participating in discussions. So I'm not sure if that poll is finished. If it is, we can put up the second question relating to this session. Okay, the poll has been posted. Please go ahead and answer the 2 questions, which are yes or no. Okay, well, while we're waiting for the third and final poll question to come up for your answers, let me take this opportunity to thank all of our speakers for participating today as well. I found it extremely informative and valuable. We've heard from government, we've heard from financiers, we've heard from industry themselves and advisors to industry, as well as EESL, about some of the issues. I think that all are agreed there's huge potential, and there's also a number of challenges and issues that still need to be overcome. But working in partnership hopefully will help to do that, and we look forward to being involved. Okay, so I'm just being advised that the 2 questions in the last poll were in fact the last. So we've had 3 questions all covered in those polls, in which case I'll throw back to our host at ISC with thanks for some final remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mark, and all our wonderful speakers today for a deeply insightful and informative discussion that has, in fact, paved a promising road forward with concrete, innovative, and deployable solutions to accelerate the adoption of energy efficiency in Bangladesh and the region. Like Mark said, we aren't at the end. This is, in fact, a milestone marking the beginning. A big thank you to our engaging and interactive audience as well. I now request all of the panel to switch on your cameras for a photo op to commemorate this event. Thank you all. I now pass the stage to Suresh Kotla, Director, Energy and Environment India at the Institute for Sustainable Communities, to offer a vote of thanks to everyone present here today and setting the tone for the vision ahead. Over to you, Suresh.
Thank you, Meher. Before I proceed, I would like to wish Subha Swadhinta Divas to my fellow brothers and sisters from Bangladesh. And, as we celebrate the 50th Golden Jubilee of Bangladesh, I think it's just the right time to also set on a path to, to be free from fossil fuel based energy. And that is going to be possible, if we move towards industrial energy efficiency, clean energy transition. And I think that will enable a clean and sustainable future for our next generations, which I think we all are looking forward to. And while we have heard all the major economies, they have announced their net zero commitments and they are rapidly accelerating towards clean energy transition. It is equally important for emerging economies, including India, Bangladesh, Indonesia, Vietnam, Philippines, and Thailand, and countries like Cambodia to advance towards an energy secure future. And I believe we all would agree, energy efficiency is one of the most cost-effective ways to reach there. And for a country like Bangladesh, which is world's second largest exporter of ready-made garments, as we all heard, to continue meeting the global and local demand for the ready-made garments, and for Bangladesh to continue supplying that to that demand, it will need continuous flow of resources. And we all know that resources are limited and they're already depleting. So it's even more, more crucial that we move towards energy efficiency and we make the necessary investments. I think to me, as I was listening to a fantastic lineup of speakers, I could see that there are some clear pathways for us. One being establishing a national level ESCO, just as we've done in India, and Poonam Pandey very beautifully elaborated the shared savings approach and the way a ESCO, a national level ESCO, can act as a catalyst. I think either a national level ESCO or a federation of small ESCOs can help aggregate the demand and unlock the potential for energy savings in the industrial sector. The second pathway that I could understand from the speakers is, of course, one of the most important one being access to affordable finance, which my colleague from IDCOL presented. I think equally important is the policy measures to incentivize low carbon technology investments, whether it is to subsidize the manufacturing units so that they are able to cope up with the carbon tax the other economies are going to live by now. It's equally important that there are subsidies or incentives available for the companies who are investing in low carbon technologies. However, I think this is not the end, as my colleagues mentioned. This is just the beginning, and we would like to reach out to our partners and stakeholders in Bangladesh over the next few weeks to advance these conversations and deliberate and take deep dives into some of these pathways and probably come out with possible projects that we can implement together. With that, I would like to thank all our partners once again. A special thanks to Mark from ACE Partners in helping us convene this. I would like to also thank ERI and a special mention Dr. Zahid Hassan for all the support ERI extended to IISc in convening this this webinar and making sure that we have a fantastic lineup of speakers. Thank you to IDCOL, Strada, and all my fellow partner institutions here participating in the event. With that, I would like to thank everyone once again and looking forward to continuing the conversations. Thank you, everyone.